Gold is the only asset that has produced a steady narrative over the past 6 months. XRP holders, welcome back to the CryptoZX channel. As always, I want to express my gratitude to all of you for your unwavering devotion. Keep up the good work, and I'll continue to provide you viewers with daily XRP updates. As we head into Friday morning, you can see that the market is beginning to show a little bit of a 50-50 situation, with certain coins up significantly and others experiencing a slight correction. The market as a whole has been going green over the past hour, and I doubt anyone is very upset about it. However, in terms of XRP, it is down 0.2% in relation to USD, but we are up 1.5% in relation to BTC. At that precise level, the price is being considered at $2. The 24-hour trading volume was approximately $3.5 billion, and the valuation was $116.4 billion. Before we continue, though, let me just quickly clarify that nothing on this channel is financial advice. When investing in cryptocurrencies, always conduct your own research and due diligence. Let's begin with this, then. To enable the state government to take cryptocurrency as payment, New York presents a new measure. Guys, I don't know what is bullish if this isn't. This is something you can witness for yourself. This makes it possible for the state government to take cryptocurrency as payment. What is the size of this? Not many people will recognize the extent of this at an early age. But I believe that as time goes on and this truly becomes the standard, people will be reflecting on this and seeing how significant it was in the first place. However, in light of the parties' settlement agreement, XRP and Ripple have jointly filed a move to set aside the appeal. The Commission's approval of the settlement is pending. On April 16, the brief will be filed, and I am aware that this has caused confusion among many members of the XRP community, as well as the cryptocurrency world in general. People understand, I didn't understand. I thought this whole thing was ended, but why is it still happening now? Recall that in order for it to be formally concluded in terms of court, you need the Commission's consent. Additionally, I personally think that this is finished. I believe this is finished. Naturally, I believe it will only be a matter of time until the official announcement is made that it is, done for good. I believe a deal has been reached whereby Ripple is to pay the SAC a certain amount of money, but I can't recall the precise number. It's finished. Paul Atkins has clearly taken over now. I believe there was a big announcement yesterday, and it's really significant. I believe the market would have responded differently if this news had been released earlier this year, or perhaps even late last year. Seriously consider this from a bullish standpoint. Of course, there is a great deal of uncertainty in the markets at the moment. People aren't understanding how serious this is. However, I believe that under his leadership, a lot of things will happen, including a lot more clarification regarding the crypto business and the viewpoint of ETF. I believe that a variety of XRP securities, including Solana, ABAR, and maybe Index, will be introduced in addition to the XRP ATF. Naturally, that would be a turning point for the cryptocurrency industry. Naturally, we are aware of this, and as for the case itself, I believe it will only be a matter of time before we learn of the Commission's approval. However, let's have a look at this going forward. According to liquidation data, $2.1 million in long holdings were destroyed, whilst only 705 short positions were exposed to hostile shock. All right, so first and foremost, we must take into account the fact that the liquidation will undoubtedly occur. A significant portion of the cryptocurrency area is the future market. You can definitely go both long and short there. I strongly oppose it. It's possible that this is your first time following the channel, or that you're completely unfamiliar with the cryptocurrency markets. Since the beginning, I have consistently said this on my channel. Avoid using futures platforms. There are several platforms, of course, and I won't mention just one. Massive incentives are used to entice you to join, and 99.9% of the time, you will lose your money. You may receive this bonus or that bonus, and so on. Therefore, the most important piece of advice I advise my audience is that if you want exposure but aren't interested in the long-term crypto field, you should, first and foremost, should you conduct thorough research before investing what you can afford to lose and making a spot purchase. This is because the market is so volatile that swings have the potential to destroy your positions. The likelihood of losing all of your positions is rather significant, regardless of how much leverage you're employing. At one point in time, I literally learned about the futures market, and it said, I'm not talking for a day or two. I mean, I was learning things on my own, and I did make money, but guess what? I lost a lot of money doing this, and I would never, ever advise it to someone who is new to the market. This is something, to do, or even if you're new, you just stop by and huddle. That's exactly what it is. I think that's the greatest course of action since it works well, because these oscillations have the potential to completely destroy. Perhaps 2 or 3 days later, you can see the price in a reclaiming that was before the wipeout. That isn't an emotion, of course. Naturally, this is a lengthy tirade, but it's crucial to avoid leverage trading platforms altogether. However, going forward, the USCC's corporate finance division published new guidelines on how industry participants should disclose information and how federal securities laws may apply to cryptocurrency. Is this a signal as to how financial institutions who would start providing crypto services to their customers might develop these disclosures going forward? It's fascinating to see how all of these puzzle parts are beginning to fit together. People used to dream of these things under Gary Gensler's SEC, but under the Trump administration, things are happening as we expected them to, and it's clear that SEC restructures are taking place. Of course, we shouldn't ignore this and shut down to smoke because XRP recovered more strongly than Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana after the recent decline. It goes without saying that he is comparing some of these assets. Is he speaking in the initials? Similar to the first impact, the XRP did, in fact, do really well at the moment. However, at the moment when we did see that reversal coming in at that stop, XRP was unquestionably the leader. Of course, if you're looking at it right now, there are some other assets, the larger ones that are holding better. Having said that, let us examine the current state of the price and, of course, what we might anticipate. Guys, if you're looking at the dominance index, you'll see that it has decreased during the past few hours. Well, but you did see a slight increase in dominance over the last hour and a half, but if you're looking at Bitcoin at the moment, it has regained its position above $81,000 as of Friday morning. Naturally, there was no agreement between the US and China over the tariffs, which had a detrimental effect on the markets for cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin dropped to 78.5, and the conventional market S&P and NASDAQ also saw a decline, but the market is now